You know, we often think of love as grand gestures, big proposals, epic romances. But sometimes, love shows up quietly, in the middle of pain, in a phone call out of the blue, in a shared bottle of wine. Silence. That's how it was for Victor, French, and Charlotte Stewart. 2 actors. 2 friends. 2 people who understood loneliness. And for a little while, they leaned on each other, not as lovers in a fairy tale, but as real people, healing, hurting, and holding space. And today, I want to tell you their story, not because it changed television, but because it reminds us that kindness after heartbreak can be its own kind of love. Let's start in 1976. Victor French, already beloved as Mr. Edwards, the kind-hearted blacksmith of Walnut Grove, married his second wife, Julie Cobb, an actress known for her warmth and grace. They didn't have children. Their life together was private, and for a short time, it seemed like peace. But by 1978, it was over. They divorced. And Victor? He was shattered. Now, if you knew Victor, even just from watching him on screen, you'd know he wasn't a man who wore his heart on his sleeve. He was strong, grounded, a man of few words. But when Julie left, it hit him hard, so hard he didn't know how to carry it alone. And one night, out of nowhere, he called someone he trusted, Charlotte Stewart, the woman who played Miss Beadle, the sweet schoolteacher of Walnut Grove. They weren't best friends. They didn't share endless scenes. But there was a quiet respect between them, a kindness. And when Victor called, Charlotte didn't hesitate. She said, "I knew it was hard for him, but I had no idea until, out of the blue, he called me home one night. And when she saw him, she said, 'Poor guy.' It was clear how devastated he was. No anger, no blame, just sorrow. A man broken by a marriage that ended without warning. And Charlotte, being the gentle soul she is, opened her door and her heart. She invited him in. They sat, they talked, they drank, and for hours, they spoke about marriage, about divorce, about life, what it means to love, what it means to lose, and what it means to feel alone. And that night, Victor stayed, not in a dramatic way, not as a lover, but as a friend, someone who needed shelter, and Charlotte gave it. And from that night, something began. Not a romance, not a secret affair, but a quiet bond. One built on understanding, on presence, on simply being there. Charlotte later said, "It was the start of something casual between us." And she meant it, because this wasn't about passion. It wasn't about forever. It was about healing. And in the years that followed, they'd meet, now and then, sometimes at work, sometimes by choice. And more than once, Victor would call and say, "I'm having dinner with Kent McCrae and his wife. Want to join us?" Kent McCrae was the show's producer, a steady presence on set. His wife, Susan, warm and welcoming. And these dinners, they became safe spaces. Laughter, conversation, comfort, and always, eventually, Victor would fall asleep. Charlotte laughed when she told this story. We'd go out, we'd have fun, and he'd fall asleep. And isn't that telling? Because exhaustion isn't just physical, it's emotional, and Victor, unstrung as he was carrying so much. The end of a marriage, pressure of work, the weight of being Mr. Edwards, the man everyone trusted while feeling so lost himself, and Charlotte saw that. She didn't try to fix him. She didn't push for more. She just stayed, and that meant everything. Let's talk about who Charlotte Stewart was. Not just as Miss Beadle, but as a woman. She wasn't flashy. She didn't seek the spotlight, but she had depth, integrity, and a quiet strength that made her perfect for the role of the schoolteacher, the one who believed in every child, even Nellie Olson, and off-screen, she was the same, calm, thoughtful, loyal. And when Victor needed her, she showed up, not for fame, not for attention, but because he was hurting, and she could help. And that's rare, because in Hollywood, people often disappear when things get messy. But Charlotte didn't. She stayed, and Victor never forgot that. Now, Charlotte has been very honest about their relationship. She said it was never a romance story. I just loved him. And those words, they break your heart in the best way because they're true. She didn't love him like a wife or a girlfriend, but like a friend, like someone who saw his pain, who held space for it, who reminded him, you're not alone. And that kind of love, it's just as powerful, maybe more, because it asks for nothing in return. Now, let's think about Victor, because behind the mustache, the deep voice, the calm presence, was a man who felt deeply, who loved fiercely, who struggled, like all of us, with loss. And after Julie, he didn't shut down. He reached out to Charlotte, to Michael Landon, to the cast. And yes, he found love again. Later, he married Barbara Noah, and they remained together until his death. But that period after his divorce, it mattered, and Charlotte's role in it, it mattered too, because healing doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes, it comes from a phone call, a shared meal, a night where you don't have to pretend, and Charlotte gave him that. Now, think about their characters, Mr. Edwards and Miss Beadle. On screen, they didn't have a romantic arc. They didn't flirt. They didn't hold hands. But they respected each other, cared for each other. And in a way, their real-life connection mirrored that. Quiet, dignified, full of unspoken understanding. And maybe that's why it worked, because it wasn't forced, it wasn't scripted. It was born from a moment of shared humanity, and that's beautiful. So the next time you see Miss Beadle walk into the schoolhouse, or Mr. Edwards hammering at his forge, or the two of them sharing a quiet word in town, don't just see actors, see two people who, off-screen, shared something real, not fireworks, not drama, but care. A soft place to land, a hand on the shoulder, a voice saying, I'm here, and in a world that often rewards loud love, this was the quiet kind, the kind that heals, the kind that says, I see your pain, and I'm not going anywhere, and that's a gift, one that Victor never forgot, one that Charlotte gave freely, and one that still whispers through the prairie wind. Because love, it doesn't always look like roses. Sometimes, it looks like a man falling asleep at dinner after a long, hard night, with a friend who stayed, and that is enough.